another case of injustice.
But this one that we're going to discuss today, about a young lady that died in a beachfront hotel on Anna Marie Island 5 years ago, and her family and her have not seen justice yet. It's amazing the amount of cases we get on Archangels from people all over the country talking about family members that have been treated poorly by the police or killed, or an investigation that was done
falsely prosecuted. It seems like as if nobody's listening.
But when you look at the cases individually, like this one, Sheena Morris, who died in January 1st in 2009, hanging in a shower in a hotel on a beach in Anna Marie Island. It's a pretty sad case of inept police investigation, classified as a suicide when that's not the case at all. Yeah, we have a case here of what on New Year's Eve, they're there for a couple days, enjoying the beachfront resort there on Anna Marie Island off the coast of Bradenton Beach.
That's in Florida.
Yes, just south of Tampa, Florida. At some point on about 2 a.m. New Year's Day, early, they have a fight. They're having an argument, which is overheard by a hotel guest next door. And that guest calls 911.
The emergency.
We're in the room next door, and there's some kind of a domestic thing going on.
And the police respond. By the time they get there, the boyfriend, Joe Genovese, is leaving.
Yes.
But, because they don't know that he is part of this domestic, they don't bother with him. They just let him drive off. They go up to the hotel room to discuss what was going on with Miss Morris.
They see that she's injured.
I'll show you what he did. He took my necklace, he choked my neck with it, and on the other side.
All right, ma'am, can you describe him?
Yeah, he's about 5'4", 170 pounds, curly brown hair. He left driving in a white Mercedes convertible.
You know where he's going?
Yeah, I think he's going back to Tampa. That's where I live. He actually took my purse, and my keys are in it, and he's going to go back there and trash my house.
Yeah, that's true. They did see she had injuries to her neck on both sides and on her ring finger, which was damaged due to him grasping at the money she had in her hand, because we understood it was an argument over money.
And she told the police that?
Yes. From there, the police discuss for a few minutes with her, then they leave and change the call from a domestic violence situation to a domestic dispute. And they don't even write a report. They don't put a bolo out for him.
Be on the lookout.
Right. And the sad part was she actually told them that he had left and had been drinking, and he had left what kind of car he was driving, and gave a full description. Probably the typical resort town cop attitude is, it's a party night, it's New Year's Eve, they're all drunk, they're all fighting, she'll forget about this tomorrow, so what's the point in going through all this?
But state law in Florida says that when you have come on a call that one party is claiming they were injured by the other, and there's evidence of that, in this case she had scratches and cuts on her neck and on her finger and stuff, they had an obligation to get him and arrest him.
Well, at least had an obligation to run him down, investigate further and decide whether to arrest him or not. He drives home to his home in Indian Rocks, which is about, that time of the morning is about a 30-minute drive because there's no traffic. He's seen by a number of people at a party there. That's at he shares an apartment. And according to all the police reports and the ultimate phone logs from the cell phone carrier, his phone never left that area.
Shortly after he left, she called through the dispatcher at Bradenton Beach. She called the dispatcher
in Hillsborough County. Yes, that's right.
And said that he had taken her purse and taken her money and her keys. And she was concerned about her house,
her property,
and asked them if they'd do a check on it and make sure it was okay. And even I believe she gave him the code to get in the gate.
Yes, she did.
Hillsborough County, this is Manatee County. I'm transferring a caller reference a domestic situation at 12057 Tuscany Bay Drive, Premier County.
Send it over.
Thank you. Ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Sheena. I'm in
Manatee County right now. I was on vacation for the holiday with my fiance. And we have two separate homes. He's on the way to my home apparently right now. He took off with my car keys and my house keys.
She did give them the gate code, and you're right, she was concerned about her property and wanted basically the police there to check on her property. The hotel management knock on the door, dogs are barking. They know that there's not supposed to be dogs in there, so they call the Bradenton Beach Police.
They gain entrance, and there she is hanging from a dog leash in the shower.
Yeah, hanging from the shower faucet. And the amazing part about it, when you view those images of her hanging there, she's almost sitting on the floor.
Right.
Her legs are directly out in front of her. She's hanging by this dog leash, hanging by the shower. The dog leash is barely fastened. And as we discussed many times, you know, her weight of 110 pounds really wasn't being supported by the leash because her legs were outstretched on the floor and her back was against the wall. So the leash didn't, and the faucet didn't have to support all of her weight. A very unusual position to be in when you hang yourself. Then we understood that they called a detective from Bradenton Beach PD, a Detective Diaz, who apparently had never worked a homicide case in his whole career. Bradenton Beach does not have a crime scene unit. They never dusted the floor, which is extremely unusual.
Which would have shown if she walked in there or were dragged in.
Or was dragged in there, exactly.
Or was she unconscious when she was already set up as a hanging?
Well, and then my belief is, and this has happened before, because there were some marks on her neck that indicated that she could have been put out with a carotid restraint. And then at that point, then a leash around her neck, finish her off, the way her pants, she had been drugged into the shower, it looked like.
They were kind of twisted.
There they were. The waistband, when you look at the autopsy photo, because the waistband was about 3 inches high all around her waist, but on the right buttock, it was much lower. It was at least 6 inches lower than on the left. Which
would correspond to somebody dragging her.
Dragging, yeah. You know, which, again, if they had dusted that floor for footprints, they could have said whether or not she was the sole person that walked into that shower or she had been drugged into that shower.
The purse is now back in the
room.
Back
in the hotel room. So how did the purse get back there? It doesn't even follow police procedure.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
That's the sad part, like you mentioned earlier.
There's no credibility with the investigation. The mother complained that the daughter was murdered, and she believed it was murdered. So the Florida Department of Law Enforcement takes over and starts to investigate. And the only thing they do is verify what the police department had done first.
This is when the mother had complained. She had another autopsy performed by the medical examiner where Sheena is buried in New York.
Mm-hmm.
The medical examiner up there called the medical examiner in Florida, where the autopsy originally was performed, because her hyoid bone was missing. Now, which is very unusual, because in every autopsy I ever attended, the only reason a medical examiner would keep a body part is if there was something suspicious about it. The Florida one then changed her finding from suicide to basically unknown or undetermined.
Well, very credible people have been involved in this now.
Other experts.
Now you've got experts in voice analyzation. You've got a newspaper
calligraphist,
a newspaper reporter, a former detective who's working as a newspaper reporter now. Absolutely is writing a series of stories on this, trying to expose it. But he also told the police that he never left.
Right.
So,
but he lied, yes, obviously.
And then he could have left his cell phone at the house,
sure,
so that it didn't show that he left when he in fact he did.
Right. Well, at this point, because Bradenton Beach messed up the domestic so bad that being a suicide instead of a homicide makes them not responsible, makes them not negligible in their actions. Sheena Morris did not kill herself.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Too many experts have reviewed this case that have all said the same thing. This is a staged crime scene. They're so politically motivated that all they care about is who's going to get into office next so they can keep their little dynasty rolling.
Yeah. And this whole thing is exactly why Archangels of Justice is so necessary. We investigate and we expose this, and we will not stop.
No, and we have to.
We're in the room next door, and there's some kind of a domestic thing going on.
The emergency.
We're in the room next door, and there's some kind of a domestic thing going on. We're in the room next door, and there's some kind of a domestic thing going on.